Welcome back. This is, of course, Kafka time. We are reading The Metamorphosis. If this is your first time, however, start here. You've missed a lot of great story and vocabulary. Don't worry, I will wait here. I will not leave until you finish the first video and come back. I promise, I'm gonna wait right here. I'm waiting. Alright, our time together never stops because you can listen to the Fluency Book Club podcast. You can get your free audiobook version of this book, or really any book. You can also get your own physical copy of this book. These three things are all incredible ways to improve your English by yourself. Besides that, the most important thing you should do before we start reading today, click down here, 3 dots, 1, 2, 3, open transcript. It will be so much easier to read out loud with me. This is an amazing way to improve your speaking skills, confidence, accent, and pronunciation. So definitely do it. You know what? Even if you're out in public, make a fool out of yourself, embarrass yourself. Nobody cares, and you are helping to improve your English so much faster. If you do it, let me know. Write your story in the comments. I can't wait to hear it. All right, let's meet up with our buggy friend Gregor and see how things are. He slid back into his former position. Getting up early all the time, he thought. It makes you stupid. You've got to get enough sleep. Other traveling salesmen live a life of luxury. For instance, whenever I go back to the guest house during the morning to copy out the contract, these gentlemen are always still sitting there eating their breakfast. I ought to just try that with my boss. I'd get kicked out on the spot. But who knows, maybe that would be the best thing for me. If I didn't have my parents to think about, I'd have given in my notice a long time ago. I'd have gone up to the boss and told him just what I think. Tell him everything I would. Let him know just what I feel. He'd fall right off his desk. And it's a funny sort of business to be sitting up there at your desk, talking down to your subordinates from up there, especially when you have to go right up close because the boss is hard of hearing. Well, there's still some hope. Once I've got the money together to pay off my parents' debt to him, another 5 or 6 years, I suppose, that's definitely what I'll do. That's when I'll make the big change. First of all, though, I've got to get up. My train leaves at 5. Oh, poor Gregor. Let's do a little review here. What does he mean by a life of luxury? He means a life of comfort and extravagance. Luxury, that's the nice things in life. For instance is a nice way of saying for example. To be kicked out means to be forcibly removed. Removed by force. On the spot means instantly. So he would be kicked out instantly without any hesitation. To give your notice is a common way. What I think is nicer is to say to give your 2 weeks. This is like to resign, but here you are telling your boss or superior that you are intending to quit, in 2 weeks. So Gregor definitely wants to give in his notice, but of course he can't. His parents are in debt. Your subordinates are the people who work under you, and the people who work above you are your superiors. His boss is hard of hearing. It means he can't hear very well. And this word is pronounced debt. We do not pronounce the B. It is silent. His parents are in debt to his boss, and that's why Gregor has this terrible job. All right, let's continue. And he looked over at the alarm clock, ticking on the chest of drawers. God in heaven, he thought. It was 6:30, and the hands were quietly moving forwards. It was even later than 6:30, more like 6:45. Had the alarm clock not rung? He could see from the bed that it had been set for 4 o'clock, as it should have been. It certainly must have rung. Yes, but was it possible to quietly sleep through the furniture rattling noise? True, he had not slept peacefully, but probably all the more deeply because of that. What should he do now? The next train went at 7. If he were to catch that, he would have to rush like mad, and the collection of samples was still not packed. And he did not at all feel particularly fresh and lively. And even if he did catch the train, he would not avoid his boss's anger, as the office assistant would have been there to see the 5 o'clock train go. He would have put in his report about Gregor not being there a long time ago. The office assistant was the boss's man, spineless and with no understanding. What about if he reported sick? But that would be extremely strained and suspicious, as in 15 years of service, Gregor had never once yet been ill. His boss would certainly come round with the doctor from the medical insurance company, accuse his parents of having a lazy son, and accept the doctor's recommendation not to make any claim, as the doctor believed that no one was ever ill, but that many were worksheep. And what's more, would he have been entirely wrong in this case? Gregor did in fact, apart from excessive sleepiness after sleeping for so long, feel completely well and even felt much hungrier than usual. Gregor hasn't called in sick for 15 years. That's impressive. If you imagine a clock, we call these the hands, the parts that tell you what time it is. They point at the numbers. When they move, we say that they tick, because they go tick. For a bell, we have ring, rang, rung. Present, past participle. Ring, rang, rung. If something is rattling, it is moving and making noise. Listen to the sound of this cup. It's rattling. Particularly means very. Gregor does not feel particularly fresh. He does not feel very fresh. Lively means to have a lot of energy. I left the stove on. Shit. To catch the train just means to take the train, but oftentimes we use catch with transportation to mean that we arrived just in time. If someone is spineless, they are a combination of just very bad characteristics. A coward, having no morals, having no principles, being mean, not kind. So that's a spineless person, just a bad person. Strained means uneasy or tense. So he doesn't want to call in sick because it would be very strained. It would be a very tense situation. Ill is a good way to say that you're sick, but I think it's just much more common nowadays just to say sick. And workshe is a word that I have never used, and it just means lazy. Someone who is disinclined to work. Just a lazy person. Okay, let's go back. He was still hurriedly thinking all this through, unable to decide to get out of bed when the clock struck 7:15. There was a cautious knock at the door near his head. "Gregor," somebody called. It was his mother. "It's 7:15. Didn't you want to go somewhere?" Oh, that gentle voice. Gregor was shocked when he heard his own voice answering. It could hardly be recognized as the voice he had had before, as if from deep inside him there was a painful and uncontrollable squeaking mixed in with it. The words could be made out at first, but then there was a sort of echo that made them unclear, leaving the hearer unsure whether he had heard properly or not. Gregor had wanted to give a full answer and explain everything, but in the circumstances contented himself with saying, "Yes, mother, yes, thank you. And I'm getting up now." The change in Gregor's voice probably could not be noticed outside through the wooden door, as his mother was satisfied with this explanation and shuffled away. But this short conversation made the other members of the family aware that Gregor, against their expectations, was still at home. And soon his father came knocking at one of the side doors, gently, but with his fist. "Gregor, Gregor," he called. "What's wrong?" And after a short while, he called again with a warning deepness in his voice. "Gregor! Gregor!" At the other side door, his sister came plaintively. "Gregor, aren't you well? Do you need anything?" Gregor answered to both sides. "I'm ready now," making an effort to remove all the strangeness from his voice by enunciating very carefully and putting long pauses between each individual word. His father went back to his breakfast, but his sister whispered, "Gregor, open the door, I beg of you." Gregor, however, had no thought of opening the door, and instead congratulated himself for his cautious habit, acquired from his traveling, of locking all doors at night, even when he was at home. Okay, so people are starting to realize that something is not right with Gregor. Let's do a little review. To do something hurriedly means to do something very quickly, in a rush. A squeaking is like the sound a mouse or a very small animal makes, or if you have a dog toy, it squeaks, squeak, squeak, squeak. Of course, his voice is squeaking because he's a little bug. He's a cockroach. Here that they say the hearer might have been confused by what Gregor said, it's much better just to say the listener. To content yourself with something, or to be content with something, means to be happy or satisfied. Not very happy, but also not disappointed. You're okay. To shuffle away means to walk away, but by sliding your feet a little bit so you can hear your feet shuffling on the ground. And to speak plaintively means to speak with a sense of sadness or sorrow in your voice. His sister seems to think that something is wrong, and unfortunately, she is correct. That is it for today. I don't know what's going to happen to Gregor next. If you have any thoughts about what might happen or what has happened, definitely put those in the comments. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I'm always here to help. Of course, to continue improving your English on your own, you can listen to the Fluency Book Club podcast. You can get an audiobook version of this book or of any other book, really, and you can get your own physical copy of this book. These are all excellent, excellent ways to improve your English by yourself, no matter where you are. The amazingness of this story is only just beginning, so I can't wait to see you next time. It's always a pleasure, guys. Ciao, ciao.